Welcome back to Today's video. Playing this guys. In today's video, we're going to be building another orange farm. This one will actually work though, so it's the main reason why I wanted to build this one. And then we're also going to continue expanding our suburbs into where this little access road we put in for the original orange farm is. So that access road we'll just pretty much use as the main road for this whole new development, and it's going to be pretty much all houses. There are a couple of businesses in here, but there ain't a whole lot. So I first got rid of our temporary power solution of those nuclear power plants, and then I took our power lines and brought them across and out towards the rest of the city. We will need to build another power plant soon for the city, mostly because we do need more power in the city, and also realistically we would be starting to lose a ton of we would just be needing more power because our power plants aren't exactly too huge around the city here. But as I was saying with the orange farm, let's just start off with a main building for the farm and then a ton of parking lots, and then these would be kind of direct competitors, but this one would probably more focus on actually just farming it because this would be a lot less scenic since it's kind of squished between rails and the interstate. And so then I brought in some barns to store stuff. I also put in our animal pasture in here. Help make some more animal products, and also, like I said, they could use the pigs to eat up any waste that may have been left over from the farm fields with the oranges. And then I did need to move around our power lines a bit here, but in the end, I like how they turned out, where they just cut nicely through the field. This farm definitely turned out really nice, and even though it did have a very oddly shaped area and a ton of obstructions in it, mostly the power lines and then also the broadcast tower, which I did decide we would keep, and they would use this farm as a way to access the broadcast tower too. That was my main concern with it, was that there was no access to it compared to the other one. You can kind of get to it fairly easily. Or did I? Yeah, I did put in there one. That was ironically next to another farm too. And so I just kept adding in more fields, and then I just put in some maintenance buildings back here and also barracks. And I also just threw in a little house that would just be probably people that either work on the farm or maybe just some who wanted to live back here for some reason. I don't really know, I just decided to throw in a little house. And while they aren't exactly in a good spot, I believe by the end of this episode they didn't even get anyone moved in yet. It still is just a nice little detail to add into here. And then I filled in a lot of this area of trees too. While this won't affect the agriculture ability for the whole area, but it's definitely what was I saying? It won't, so it isn't a big deal, and it also adds quite a bit of detail to this whole area. And I also did put in a ton of more barracks over here. This would be a mix of, they could also put in some offices in here too for the farm, but these would mostly just be barracks to help house the people that work here. And I purposely didn't want to put that road too close to the rails. And I got to work on our little suburbs expansion. Just did some grid design for here mostly. I did make the grid a lot less dense compared to other places I've done grids in the past with this city. Like I said, a lot less dense, just because of us basically just ending off here in terms of with any sort of development. So, and this also goes all the way out towards the toll roads, which I didn't even think that we were going to make it out here originally of the city, but yeah. So then I also put in the zoning, and then I just did some fine touches with this whole area here. And then pretty much the second half of this whole episode, I've just kind of been doing some finishing off stuff of this whole area that I haven't quite done, that were small areas that weren't really big enough for their own dedicated episode, but I did the finishing touches for them. So I added in more police and fire departments in this whole area, just to obviously give better service for them. I also got rid of all those crematoriums there. Those were just temporary because there was a big death wave going on in the city. So those could all be taken out, which I should probably put in some sort of death care around this area too of the city, because there isn't a whole lot. And then also, along with all this work up here, I also added in some zoning for more commercial, which we're going to need to work on quite a bit of commercial too throughout the rest of this whole area here in the next couple of episodes, because we do quite a bit of demand for that, and a lot less residential now. I also moved the ferry depot down towards the ferry stop. And then I got to work on actually filling out the area around the ocean resort. This is kind of just something that I placed in for the time being. I did put in temporary power line 4, which I did proceed to get rid of. I put in the water, I think they're called the offshore wind turbines, here just to power this. And this way we didn't need to worry about it taking up any land space. And I got rid of it after stuff came in and power was getting distributed to all of this stuff. And then I also put another road around the other side of our train station up here. While it did make a bit of an awkward hill there, it isn't a big deal. I filled in the leftover little bits of this concrete area around here with more concrete. And then I wanted to put in a fish market up here, which I did realize after I made this episode. This is actually the fish factory. The fish market are basically the same size as the fish factory. It's a little bit more long. But it isn't a big deal. Just not much to it, like I said. But with that, it did start creating pollution. That's how I realized. And then for this whole area, I just put in some small little stuff. And like I said, I also put in a small little apartment building in here. This I purposely did the Brooklyns and Queens DLC stuff in here because I knew these wouldn't get tall enough to where they would be a problem. And I also did some small little dead-end roads that I put in houses on, and also I think some businesses on some of them too. And I also cleaned up the terrain all around the new roads and stuff that I put in here. Finally, to help accommodate the needs of the hotel, I placed in a sidewalk restaurant, or I don't know what it's called, but it's just this little restaurant here that I've been putting all over the city. They're from the Hotels and Retreat DLC, so it will help bring up the sightseeing stuff, because the game sees it as, oh dang, sorry y'all. Alright, so the game sees it as a tourist site, even though it doesn't even look remotely like that. So it's fine, and then allowed for me to also put connections up the hill in terms of paths. So this way it gives you something to maybe hike around, or just some nature, just be in a little park type thing. And then I also put in a police station here, and then I put in access for crosswalks and made the streets a little bit nicer around the station here in terms of adding in trees. I then also put in, or attempted to put in a firehouse. But here's the final product. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, make sure to like and subscribe. Do the next one. Bye!